Welcome, one and all, to another edition of SoulSym Plays. As usual, I am your host, SoulSym Mirak, and with me this afternoon, is Vonhelgen.
Ah, sweet merciful Christ, we're back.
And we're in Destiny today, cause as usual, Bungie kind of fucking up. So we're here to talk about
So
it.
we're going to support them by playing their game and talking shit about them at the same time.
Well, this is gonna be a constructive criticism stream, because criticism's easy, but offering solutions is hard. And we don't like to just harp to harp. We want to
Absolutely.
we like offering solutions.
Absolutely. I'm just also curious to see like how long that'll last. Like we'll be giving plenty of constructive solutions, but just interweave between those ones is going to be various sharp jabs.
Yeah, but the jabs.
Also, I like how you started it before like I said I was
didn't
go
mean
good.
to. I didn't mean to. I was trying. It's been a minute. We ain't played Destiny.
Well, are
about
you
2
ready?
months.
Because I don't really need anything else. Really
Yeah, I mean,
quickly.
I
Are
don't
you
need
ready?
anything until after we just other bounties from other vendors. But
Other people, yeah. So
that's later.
yeah, I'm also eventually gonna need to go do more ritual activities to actually get more pages, since we actually have to have the pages first before we go do these activities. I got a couple on me, so we're good. But
Oh, more rewards from hunt detectors when you have pages.
well, I mean, if you wanted to do stuff for Festival of the Lost, you need the pages.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So like I will try to keep this as Destiny centered as possible, but like there are a few things I want to mention first to you specifically.
Okay.
They just announced, or not announced, released the first DLC for Dead Island 2.
Oh, nice.
And I watched the trailer. It looks sick as all hell. It's like you basically infiltrate a techno cult that is trying to stay relevant after the end of the world and achieve ultimate nirvana through the undead. And it's like super twisted and super debauchery, and then like you go into a mansion that has multiple floors deep, and it's like a lot of the architecture has basically been twisted on its head to be less like useful and modern and more just like a Salvador Dali painting.
Hmm. Interesting.
And it looks cool as all hell. And it's $12 too. Like, for a big ass for what is effectively like a normal size DLC, it's $12. So again, I don't got money, but like that
Right.
is something that I'm like, ooh, shit, okay.
Yes, that's pretty.
Um, Second thing that's not Destiny related, but yeah, no, I'm having fun with Gotham Knights.
Me too.
I've been playing
Me
some
too.
last night. Um, what I found out is that like I think
I mean, the majority of the outrage.
Tim's.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
We'll talk about the outrage in a second. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna bring that up. Oh God, how the fuck did he die that quickly? Jesus. I wasn't paying attention. That fucking headless one just exploded. Um, but when it comes to all the movement tech because obviously I've seen like what Tim's is like from your side, but I unlocked everyone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the worst one by far is Batgirl, and it's only because it's like imagine if you were playing the Arkham games with Batman's like cape and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't use the zip line like while you were gliding for like the big boost like you could in those
Oh,
games,
wow.
and you can't climb in any way, shape, or form. But what I will say is that they all still have their strengths. So like if in the short term, the two best not short term. In the short distance,
Mm-hmm.
the two best movements are Tim and Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
But for long distance, it's Nightwing and Red Hood, because Red Red Hood does decrease altitude after a time, and he can't get higher,
Mm-hmm.
but he can move the fastest out of all of them with his jumps, and it will still allow him to cross like entire islands in a single in a single bound.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nightwing is just flight, like like straight up, you will not lose altitude as Nightwing as long as you're gently holding back on the stick. You will just keep flying.
Mm.
He's not the absolute fastest, but especially if you tilt like down and you know how to fly with it properly, it is very obviously the best option for just like if you're not trying to cross the city super quickly, but if you wanted to cross the city, you just fucking could. Like, you will never decrease in altitude with it. Not saying that Tim's isn't great for long distance, but just in the scope of like, Tim will take the longest to get from point A to point B when it comes to long distance in comparison to everyone else. But also Tim's has the added, like Tim and Nightwing both have the added utility. More so Tim of the you can teleport as Tim and then do a stealth takedown on somebody while you're in the teleportation menu. And then Nightwing is kind of the same thing of where like you can like while you're hanging onto the glider, as long as you're above an enemy, like you can drop down to do an assassination of some kind on them. But seriously, like by far Barbara's is the worst, which I guess is fine considering the rest of her kit kind of makes her one of the best characters.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
her mobility,
literally
trash.
one of her first. Huh?
Her mobility is trash, but she is a bruiser.
Her mobility is awful, but all of her other abilities are like, all right, cool. You can eventually be immune to all forms of technology, and also you deal the most damage out of any of the characters at closer range. Like, it's single target, mind you, so it's not really AOE, but whew, she will still fuck somebody up pretty liberally.
Sounds fun.
But yeah, absolutely. But I think that's the last non-Destiny related thing I had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, obviously, once our Destiny stream comes to an end, if anybody else is online, we should get on our Fortnite grind.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, because I'm at 76, so I'm still gonna need quite a few levels.
Oh yeah, you got some.
Right, we gotta actually go to the fucking. Right, we gotta capture these things to make it vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I can kick us off on the Destiny thing real quick if you want.
Yeah. Give us our first talking point.
First talking point that I want to bring up is, since we are going to be talking about ways to improve Destiny, I might as well bring up something that the Destiny has held king for a very long time that some games have managed to replicate, but Destiny is still one of the best at it, and that is their gunplay and how the powers feel to use. Like, I have yet to play a game that is like the Destiny formula, into where, like, sure, obviously our Guardian powers could be better, but they still feel fun to use. It's like a Golden Gun doesn't have. I don't have the same feeling in other games when I use Golden Gun. I don't have the same feeling like when I activate a Thunder Crash and I'm soaring through the air, or like when I'm using an LMG or a shotgun of some kind. Destiny still.
Hands off, down, mountain.
Exactly. We are doing Destiny and having kind of a Destiny podcast like thingy, but
to
that's kind of what we're doing.
Talk about the new the news.
The news and various other things. So,
yeah. So you were saying,
yeah, but that's
you know, the feeling of Destiny is
the feeling of Destiny is still unparalleled in a lot of its other. In a lot of other games. Like, I have yet to play a game that, even as of right now, I took a massive break and I'm not really feeling the Destiny grind as much as I used to. I am still having fun shooting shit right now.
Yeah.
Like, it is still fun.
It's always fun to pop in for a few moments. It's just when you get your first reward and it's lackluster that you start to remember.
Other aspects of the game will start to reverberate as a result.
Right.
And that is a very good point of the feeling of playing Destiny can only hold its own for so long when the reality of why you're playing it like sets in, and the
Right.
fact that it does not feel nearly as rewarding as, say, like I'm not gonna be a Destiny 1 nostalgia lord because I kind of hate those people, but
Yeah,
I will
'cause-
say that at least back in Destiny 1, whenever I did get a piece of loot, even while I was at endgame and I was gonna end up deleting it anyway, it still felt like, there was some meaning behind that weapon, behind that piece of gear. But nowadays, it feels more like Borderlands without the funny variety of the guns, into where I will play a round of Borderlands farming a boss, and there'll be easily 50 guns on the ground, and like none of them are good.
Right.
And so, like, but at least with Borderlands, most of those guns can still be like wacky or like fun to some other degree, especially if you're talking about the third one. But besides that, in Destiny 2, you have it's kind of like, without the complexity of it, it's kind of like if you were to play Call of Duty, you have the guns that you like, but people keep trying to get you to use guns that are clearly worse and not great, and ever so occasionally a new gun will come along that replaces the one that you've been using, but you'll still probably use your old one because you've been using it for so long,
It's
or you
familiar.
or you got the skins that you want for it, or what have you. And keep in mind, Kareem, this is coming from someone who is an avid, everything user. Like, I play every class. If a new gun comes out, I'm gonna use it. I am that person. Yet here I am still using a SMG shotgun, like machine gun combo that I've used since I started playing D2. Like, I've used that has been my go-to combo for almost every bit of every bit of content. Even if certain weapon archetypes and powers change, that it is still that setup.
Right.
I have no reason to go on other things unless, say, I'm playing PvP and I want to put on a sniper instead of a shotgun, or if I'm doing a raid, and of course the boss is 1,000 miles away, so I have to put on something else to reach his punk ass. Besides
Or
that,
he has an
this
enrage
is the thing I'm
mechanic,
using.
so there's an optimal way that you kind of have to fight him. So, yeah, loadouts are loadouts.
Yeah, like, and granted, I will say that, especially for a game like this, it does make sense that there are guns that are better than others when it comes to boss damage. I just wish that Destiny, and this is something I'll pin to you to start talking about, just so I can take a break. But in terms of how other games have done damage against bosses, and like, I'll use Division 2, I'll use the First Descendant as an example. Sure, our heavy weapon in Destiny 2 is usually considered to be the gun that you use against the boss. That makes sense. It is your DPS weapon. But because of how prolific heavy ammo is and how useful heavy guns are, and just because of how the sandbox is oriented, oftentimes, because of how the balance of weaponry has been made, I'm using every single gun for boss damage, and I personally think that's an oversight. My opinion, it should be made that, okay, cool, your heavy weapon should be extremely powerful. Like, that is the gun that is it makes the big bucks. It is designed to do the most damage, but your ammo economy should be lessened as a result. And I know some people don't like that concept because, that means that they have to hoard ammo and they have to be careful about using their gun. But I also feel like that if you do something like that and tune the other weapons as a result, then you get a scenario where, instead of worrying about a damage check and having to use certain guns and weapons in order to kill the boss in enough time, I'm dead. in order to kill the boss in enough time. If you just across the board make heavy weapons the go-to damage dealing device along with supers, then what you have effectively done is that Kareem, despite your loadout like constantly getting shafted by other people, if with this heavy ammo, heavy weapon change, your Leviathan's Breath is keeping up with everyone else's option, and you're able to use the guns that you want to use without it hindering you, without it hindering your teammates. Designated roles for weapons in games does have a place. You just have to figure out what that actual balance is. Everyone should be able to use the guns they want to use. At the same time, everyone's guns should have a place. A heavy weapon should be used to kill the big guys. Your primary weapon should be used to kill trash.
Right.
Your special weapon, we can rewrite that to be something along the lines of think the concept of a special weapon being, sure, it can be like a shotgun, but a primary ammo weapon can also be a shotgun, just cross like in Call of Duty. But a special weapon, make it special, make it do something. Make it do something else. Like special weapon could be a flamethrower.
Right. Give it
like it's good for killing trash. Yeah, like status elements. Have it do something different besides just extra damage, because I feel like that's another aspect of Destiny and other looter shooters that they seem to miss. Sure, sure, like the concept we have right now is primary weapons are used for trash enemies, yes, but then special and heavy is they fill the same role, and that causes an issue. Like, sure, like you could say that it allows you to have more options for dealing damage against adversaries, but then I can go through entire activities and only use my primary and my heavy, or my primary and my special, or so sometimes, depending on your setup, your special and your heavy. And then what? Is that all it's supposed to do? Like, take conditional finality for an example. Like, despite it being a raid weapon, the reason you use it isn't because of the damage it can deal. You use it because the first pellet freezes the person, and the second pellet causes the person to explode. It deals a status effect. It has utility. So what if all special weapons had a form of utility? Then you can come up with utility archetypes, which, ironically enough, they are kind of doing that in Final Shape with the addition of the healing class of weapon, which I don't know if you remember that they announced that they are introducing. Yeah. So no.
Yeah, like the rose.
Well, yeah, like the rose, I guess, but like instead of it being a different firing mode, it's just if you aim at somebody, you can apply a buff.
Right.
Yeah.
And
also you're thinking of Lumina.
Lumina. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the thing that kind of has always frustrated me about Destiny. When they say they're going to introduce something new, like they play test it for a little bit, and then they're like, oh well, it wasn't received the way that we wanted it to be received, so we're just going to abandon it entirely. Like, I feel like exotics should have always been a trendsetter type, like, because that's kind of how they were approached in D1. That's something that I kind of miss from the original, that and the gunsmith packages, because while yes, I'm more than likely going to throw away my gunsmith package after once I get it. It gave me a reason to use the training guns to try out different perks that I otherwise may not have sought for my weapons. But then when we get into D2, the gunsmith packages are gone. They don't come back, and then we get the relic, which is this weird arbitrary thing that says that not all weapons are able to be crafted, because not all weapons are remembered by this weird tablet from who knows when on Mars, right? You've created a meta around certain, like, and the point of it was to not, I guess, make not to alienate the random roll crowd that begged for it, not fully understanding the stupidity involved versus, like, not the stupidity involved, but like the obvious flaw that we have come to understand that would have probably been avoided had we stayed with how weapons were being handled in year one in Vanilla D2. Only because we had way more control
Do the
over our
ritual activity
weapons.
since I'm out of pages.
Yeah, you said take us out?
Uh, let's do ritual activities because I'm out of pages.
Gotcha.
So this is becoming really pointless. So we have to get to that. Continue.
Yeah. Two rituals. So, we'll head to the tower and then we'll grab. Head to,
Striking Gambit.
yeah.
Which, by the way, there's not a lot of people online, so like strikes, I guarantee we'll find.
But Gambit
we
might
might
be
not
a
find
price.
Gambit matches.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll see. You said something though that I wanted to touch on. You mentioned the gunsmith packages and trying out guns and different perks and whatnot. I have a severe problem about, and granted, when it comes to balancing a looter shooter or a looter game of any kind, like, you know, take Borderlands, Diablo, Division, First Descendant, Destiny 2, all that shit. When you're talking about creating a loot pool for guns and things the guns can do and perks on the guns and perks on the armor and what have you, yeah, it makes sense that in the beginning of the game you do have a series of perks that, you know, or abilities that, you know, are trash. It's like, you know, it's like eat your whites, your greens, and your blues. The shit that you're clearly not going to be using anytime soon. And so the perks on it are like +10 to resilience or something, or at least that's what it, you know, should have been. But instead, especially like in D2 and kind of like in the Division, is that they have a whole lot of perks within the weapon pool that on paper sound really interesting, especially to have augmenting builds and other various things you can do, but that becomes null and void if the sandbox itself does not lend itself to that.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that, okay, I'll give you an example of a perk called Shoot the Loot. Like, and for people who don't necessarily who don't know what it does, Shoot the Loot is a perk, and to where if you see a ammo brick on the ground, if you shoot it with a weapon that has Shoot the Loot, you automatically pick it up. And for some weapons, you can actually get more ammo from the pickup by shooting it. But the issue is that not only is the ammo economy in the game not nearly scarce enough to warrant taking up an entire perk slot just for that ability, but it doesn't have any other functionality besides. It usually doesn't have any other functionality besides just picking up ammo like ammo at a distance.
Right.
Heavy ammo and special ammo, especially in most activities, has such a high drop rate from most ads that you fight and kill that to waste an entire perk slot that could be either for reload or extra damage for picking up ammo from a distance that doesn't even reload your gun is pretty fucking pointless. And what I just said right there was the smoking gun, is that the sandbox for pretty much in the entirety of Destiny's lifetime has been dedicated to, can you reload the gun faster and does your gun do more damage? Now, obviously, that makes sense. Clearly, you want to be able to increase your DPS by increasing the damage that you're doing and increasing how long you can output your damage before you have to reload, or decreasing the window that you're not dealing damage. That like for any game like what we're playing, that just makes sense. However, when you have a sandbox that is only dedicated to that, and to where that like you're only designing it around it being a damage check, this actually brings up the issue around Divinity, into where they were legitimately designing bosses with Divinity in mind, a gun that granted a decent amount of the population had, but it was still locked behind another.
That heavily.
Yeah, to be considered that heavily, and you know, to be fair to them, it was a good reason. They had boxed themselves into a corner because a gun was so necessary and so powerful that the debuff that it applied basically allowed teams to ignore entire like mechanics in raids. Obviously, they should have, you know, designed it better than that, but that's one reason that Divinity had to be changed. I'm not usually a part of the nerf crowd because I think it's stupid, but in terms of a gun that literally curbs the way your sandbox functions, yeah, I can understand wanting to change it, and that's what they did. They didn't actually nerf it; they just changed what it did. And so And one thing that we have to keep in mind for increasing Destiny's longevity and like just honestly for when we start like making our games and whatnot is that the sandbox has to change with whatever changes that we're like making. Because
Yeah.
if we make a bunch of perks that on paper look, sound, and are really cool, but at the end of the day, most people are going to go for the perks that make the game the easiest for them, and that's the perks they're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for us to create something that we want people like, imagine if Volt Shot wasn't nearly as good as it was. How sad would the developers of D2 be if they added in all this elemental shit, but everyone is still just using Feeding Frenzy Rampage? Like, I know that's not the reality of
Mm-hmm.
Destiny 2 right now because they did a fantastic job with the elemental effects, but that's basically the same thing, is that if the sandbox didn't allow itself to change for that system, then that system would have flopped. A bunch of systems in Destiny have flopped because of that, and just like you said, they have abandoned entire ideas that they were testing out either in raids or on seasonal artifacts simply because of it wasn't being used enough, or like it didn't compete with shit that was already in the game. And the only way to make that happen, you gotta change the sandbox. You gotta make the game itself accustomed to these abilities, and sometimes that does mean, hey, well, like sure, Rampage is still gonna be a 33% extra damage increase when ramped up to full, but realistically, if you want to kill things like faster, maybe you want to rock Volt Shot. You know, you get a kill, you reload, and now your next kill chains lightning. Or Incandescent, you set things on fire like when you kill like one thing, or what have you. Like they started toying with this idea, but they're not
Committed
committing
to
of
it.
the put if you're like do more of this, get more into the idea of not just game changing perks but changing the sandbox as a
Right.
result. Sure,
Because
people are going to be a little upset at the sandbox changing, but at the end of the day, as I've said so many times, the Destiny community doesn't actually know what it wants.
right.
Like they'll
And,
cry and whine for one thing, and then as soon as they get it, they're angry
right,
because
and
that's what they asked for.
the thing that I was actually one of the things that I was actually referring to was gear set abilities and reckoning, the game mode. Reckoning was introduced to improve the Gambit specific gear sets. The reason why it failed is because nobody a large majority of the community doesn't care for Gambit, and Gambit Prime added a level of complexity to Gambit that most people just didn't feel like dealing with, and because the only gear set in the game was for Gambit, why am I going to play this game mode if it's specifically for armor for a game mode that I don't want to play? Had we had gear sets that synergize with exotics, gear sets that worked for specific game modes in the Crucible, gear sets that were for specific strikes, gear sets that boosted damage against specific enemy types, gear sets that boosted your resilience to a specific type of damage, gear sets that like when you have like having a certain number of abilities at like having a certain number of pieces of that gear set modifies your super. These are all things that could have increased or that could have this is a framework that allows for a level of versatility in the game that wouldn't be present otherwise, and also would further go to influence how our subclasses are currently working with the fragments and the aspects. Because if we had gotten used to going to Reckoning to improve our gear sets, our ability tied sets of armor, when we did the shift over to aspects and fragments for light and dark subclasses, the concept of doing Reckoning could now be attached to improving the efficiency of your fragments. Now your subclass, like now going through Reckoning, means that you have at more versatility within your subclass because you can add more fragments onto your kit because you've improved your aspects through the Reckoning process. You know, and to take it a step further, you could even kind of how they've introduced exotic quests. Once you get an exotic piece of armor, that exotic that triggers a quest for you to then improve your resonance with that exotic and give it an additional ability. So now, if you have an exotic that you really care for, like uh, what's the cold fire heart, the Titan exotic with
Cold Fire Heart.
not cold fire, what's it, the furnace one, the furnace tummy.
Sounded like a true hunter, man.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm. On.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Oh no.
huh? What?
Yeah. So,
Oh, no,
so
yeah,
what
okay.
did you call it? What did you say it was? Because you cut out for a
Oh,
second.
I was outside getting a soda, so yeah, sorry, I was cutting out. But before I say anything else, so it's called Hallowfire Heart. Do you
Hallowfire.
know what it does so that people don't roast you? Because you will get roasted otherwise.
That's
So
the sunspot thing, right?
no,
No. Okay.
almost immediately. That's not what it does.
Okay. So
And then,
Hallowfire.
like, Hellfire Heart, it's super simple, and it's the reason like no one uses it anymore because of how simple it is. It's straight up when your super is charged, it increases the regeneration of all your abilities by double,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot use your super. And like that, like it was really good back in the day, like when people's
Mm-hmm.
supers weren't popping all that much anyway, so
Right.
they were so the Titans would just save the super, and as a result, they got their melee ability and their grenades and their barrier
Mm-hmm.
like back
Way faster.
very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But like nowadays, considering people are able to get super energy so much easier, and it already is easy enough to get plenty of ability energy, it's just like cool. I'm gonna use my super because I want to use my super because it's
Right.
fun and it deals damage. But back in the day, Hellfire Heart was like the primo thing, especially back when Heart of Inmost Light didn't actually work.
Okay.
And nowadays, Heart of Inmost Light is fucking broken.
So
Still.
imagine if Hallowfire Heart, like it functions the way that it normally does at base level. You take it to Reckoning once and you bump it up to its tier 2 efficiency. Now it triples your cooldown, right? Your ability recovery, and
Oh, I saw it.
also adds fire damage to all of your attacks. Like you just do solar damage inherently because you cannot use your super. Right, that's the trade-off for not
You're
using.
overflowing.
Right, you're just overflowing with solar energy,
yeah.
and you so. And then you take it to Reckoning a second time, and you take it up to tier 3. Now you are a walking sunspot. Allies that are within a certain range of you get an overshield as if they were standing in your sunspot. You have the burning damage on all of your attacks, and your abilities come back 4 times faster. You don't think that would encourage some people to like stick with the Hellfire Heart? Like I don't mind
yeah,
not having my
absolutely.
super because I'm a walking tank. I am a walking sunspot.
The
Throwing
only
hammers
changes
like
I would
Thor.
make to that. Yeah, no, the only change I would make to that, and this is sort of why I really agree with you as well, is that allowing people to take their favorite exotics. Reckoning was fun, obviously. Like aesthetic-wise, we would change it. And in fact, if you want to get really specific, since we're going inside the Traveler, and the Traveler is this amalgamation of events that we've been through, we can say that the Traveler itself is a forge of light or something. So you go through randomized events that get increasingly harder, and at the end is when you put your exotic weapon or exotic armor of choice into the anvil, and that's what powers it up to change it again, resets it back to 0, and then you go back to leveling up. Let's say that this new reckoning, this new forge activity is the like, all right, cool, you've gotten your item max level, take it here to level it, and take it here to prestige it and get its new power. To at the maximum of what you're talking about, of becoming a living sunspot, and obviously this just like balance wise is that you have that thing be like in effect that can trigger, let's say, like
You do Vanguard or Gambit?
like you huh
Vanguard or Gambit?
Vanguard. Actually, no, let's do Gambit first just to see if we
See
get a
if we
fucking
get-
game, or if we're sitting here for 30 minutes.
Okay.
But but like have it be like obviously this will vary between armor piece and armor pieces and all the effects that you would give them, but like don't but like for balance wise, don't have them be a sunspot all of the time, but rather have them be a minor sunspot all of the time, and then enter a super mode for like 10 seconds, like when they consume a grenade or something, and that's what turns them into a legit sunspot, increases the radius that people can stand near them and gain their buff.
Right.
So it's a buff. So you have a natural tiny sunspot. If someone gets near you, they can actually get start like health. They can actually start like health regen.
Right.
What's up?
No, not
Yeah. So yeah, it's like So just like things like that would increase the longevity of the game, and also for people that would say it's broken, I have two things to say to that. It's very important. One, other games have already done this before. One of the most popular sci-fi games right now, Warframe, has already done this and already has their own systems. The other thing you had mentioned a while back of the, man, you really like this ability, right? How would you like that ability on other things? Sure. Like, work hard to make another copy of the Warframe, and now you can take the ability from that Warframe and put it on an entirely different one. Or, you know, hey, you really like that Warframe or that weapon's power, right? Cool. Take it through... What's up?
It dropped you up in the fire team when we went to orbit.
Oh, okay. I got it. But, you know, like, other games have already done this, and they're doing it extremely well. Second thing, and this is the most important one, guys, we understand if we implemented this stuff into the way the sandbox is right now, yeah, it would be broken as shit because the game isn't built around it. It would be effectively taking a level 3 campaign in D&D and giving someone fucking Mjolnir. It's just like, obviously, you change... Yeah, I know. Fucking, yeah, trust me, I know, casting shit for free in an open air, fucking Christ. But like, specifically, if our changes were to ever be implemented, if whatever we're talking about ever gets put into a game or even just gets put into Destiny, the game itself would be built around this system. I understand sometimes when we talk about this shit, it sounds like that we're just trying to put a square into a circle, basically, that we're like, this is what we want, fucking fit it in there. No, we would cut out a square from the circle to make it fit.
Exactly.
We would change the system to make our system like work, and it's something that game developers have been doing for years. Like, again, Warframe initially didn't Warframe didn't initially work around the system of being able to basically switch around your powers. So they're like, all right, cool, let's switch some things around. Much tick damage, or it doesn't last nearly as long, but you are still able to take abilities from other Warframes and put them on others. And sometimes you can even just level them up while they're on that Warframe. So again, once again, it gives players that ability to take shit that they like and apply it to other shit that they like through effort and playing through the game. Which, third thing, this is the last thing I'll say, but before I let you continue, Kareem, is that we also have to acknowledge this stream that we are talking about a gaming population, not just Destiny, but in general, that doesn't like to work for its shit, unless it is so brain dead easy that they can put on Slipknot and not think for 8 hours. Which, you know, I'm also okay with that kind of a concept in a game, but like I would prefer it with our system, that if we're gonna do this shit, then yeah, obviously we're gonna run into blockades of people that say they don't want to have to work for this stuff, and that, oh man, this person I'm playing with in PvE, they have all these awesome abilities, but you can get it too. Well, but that takes effort. I don't got time to do that. I have 87 kids. I'm like, okay, but it's also in PvE, so why are you angry about it? He's helping you. It's a level of selfishness that gamers do have. Yes, obviously, I get it. Trust me, if I see someone have an exotic that I don't have, I'm like, ah, damn, I want that. But am I angry at them? No.
Because, one, I understand that it was genuine luck that got them the exotic 9 times out of 10. And
even if it was hard work, I don't understand the concept of being angry. I just don't. Like, is it that you're like, and granted, we're not going to get too much into that because that starts getting into, you know, social connotations, but like, straight up, we understand people will be adverse to our changes because it requires actual effort to be put into playing a video game, which, you know,
and to those people,
I play Battletoads, I had to try.
To those people I say, we know people who have run raids 50 times and not gotten the raid exotic. even with the lockout.
Or any of the guns they want.
Like, even with the bad luck protection. 50, running a raid 50 times to not get what you're looking for is a travesty. Another thing that Bungie needs to do is they need to increase the drop rates of what they consider to be rare items. 1% drop rate when you have 100 million people playing the game, that's not a lot. Like, and so for you to for you to make design changes based off of 1% of the game having what you expected them to have.
You're getting smoked.
Like,
You're getting smoked. He's invis on me. Ugh, I got him.
You got him? Okay. I'm gonna go pop some people with Bobby.
Hate his face. Please do. I am being smoked like a blunt right now. Where's the team?
Vaughn is the efficient fatty.
Oh,
I love how one of the points you made, Ron, literally just came down to can be summarized that Destiny fans are just wrestling fans.
You know, there's probably some overlap there, I'm gonna be honest.
Because you literally said the exact thing I've complained about with wrestling fans for years. They want something and then you give it to them and then they're mad.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
I used to be on the side of like, oh, well, they gave us the wrong thing, but then I looked at what people said and I went, no, this is what you asked for.
They gave us they did exactly what you wanted them to do. It's just you didn't understand that that's how it would function if they did it that way. And so now you're mad.
Prime example, a recent one. Edge is in AEW now. When Edge said he was going to have his last match on SmackDown, everybody was like, oh man, Edge is coming to AEW. Edge goes to AEW. The fuck is Edge doing to AEW? Well.
Oh man, I want a burger. Here's your burger. Why the fuck you give me a burger?
Is this cow meat?
Like, this is what you asked for, right?
How dare you bring me cow? But you said you wanted a burger, though. Yes, obviously I wanted chicken or goat, not cow. What?
They don't make those.
What? You want
All jokes aside, though, have you had a goat burger before? I legitimately have. It's really good.
It's very tender.
Like you can't use cheddar though. Like, or at
No.
least from my personal opinion, you can't use cheddar. Maybe goat cheese, but you have to really cultivate that shit to make it work properly. But like some sort of a less fatty cheese because the reason that goat is so tender is because of that fat.
Right.
So it's a fatty burger.
Yeah. But back on topic.
Oh, and viewers, that's gonna happen a lot. I'm just gonna warn you right now. We will get off topic and we will talk about stupid shit.
Wham! Oh, you heifahos. I hate when they do that. Like, we literally had a damage phase for 3 seconds. 5 turnaround, you're not paying attention, bro.
Why did somebody join this match and they call him Swamp Donkey? I'm so done.
That's 3.
I'm just trying to level my mag and then move on so I can, like, what the fuck?
Woo! 4! Fuck off!
I'm your one.
Granted, I was invisible with a heavy machine gun, so don't get me wrong.
Hey, it still worked.
Dirty.
It still worked. That is still worked because we pulled it out. They thought they had it, but it's, gotta open a portal for them real quick. But like, like Destiny, Bungie put so much emphasis on making things look cool that they didn't bother to explain why they were cool, and or rather they didn't bother to make sure that they acted cool, right?
Oh, like, shit, that guy's my friend on the enemy team. Oh no.
Like, they gave us the Orpheus chest, right? The cosmetic piece for that matches the Orpheus rig legs, right? And like, sorry, like offshoot to explain where I'm going with this. Bungie abandoned the framework of rarity
on the road to max level, right? Like, by comparison, when we play Division, if we can still come across greens, we can still come across blues, we can still come across purples, even though most of the stuff that we're looking for are the forest green gear sets, the orange exotics and the red the red exotics and the orange legendaries, right? But the lower rarities are still there because they still have viable options on them. Like in the event that you want to have something that's, you know, like you're not trying to go in and do your best thing, you want to intentionally underpower for something, you know, or, you know, limit yourself so that you feel more dependent on your abilities. You can go in and do that. Whereas in Destiny, all you ever have, like, you just get legendaries. You get legendaries and exotics. You get legendaries from everything that you do, if you get them at all. Because they did away with blues because people were tired of auto dismantling. Because blues never had a purpose. Like, what is the point of a blue weapon? It's one fewer perk. Or
they're like the stock weapons in COD.
Right.
Like no attachments, no nothing. They're there, if anything, for YouTuber challenge videos, if anything.
right.
To actually say something about what you're saying, though, because you bring up a really good point, Kareem. Remember what I said earlier about Borderlands 3? About yesterday we were talking about it. The anointment like system, because Borderlands still obviously like blues, purples, and legendaries will still drop in Borderlands 3. But when you're playing, especially when you get to endgame, what you're now looking for is anointments. And anointments are basically just, imagine if you had all the perks on a gun or a bow that's normal, and then just an extra line of text that's just another buff or another perk.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's small, for like, you know,
It's an adept
5%
weapon.
5% extra crit damage, you know, or 10% extra reload speed, or sometimes it's like 50% extra crit damage and 100% extra reload speed. Oh god.
Oh.
But like, point being is that imagine if Destiny, okay, we're gonna run that. We're gonna look past that. But like, imagine if Destiny had something like the anointment system, and that could bring the rarity system and the need for loot grinding back again, because now people are like, sure, it's all legendaries, but it's all legendaries with all sorts of different different perks and abilities that you could be looking for. And on top of the fact, because they're anointments, and obviously you have to be like playing through certain activities that to get them, you know, granted we'll say this is most activities, then you could be looking for like, all right, cool, man, I got the shotgun I wanted, but like, and the anointment's good, but I'm looking for this other anointment that like goes with the build better. Sometimes the anointments are small, but if you get really lucky, then sometimes the anointments are like, oh shit, you have an extra grenade charge on like the really good ones. So like, mind you, get people the power fantasy of looking for that shit.
Right. And before any of y'all say anything,
sandbox in half, you have to change the sandbox.
And before any of y'all say, but they already have adept weapons. Yes, that's high level. Sweat your face
that's
off,
like the highest level shit you need to do.
Maybe get something like maybe get an extra slot for modding. No, we're talking about doing specific.
Quit running!
We're talking
Jesus
about doing
Christ!
specific activities that like normal activities. That can roll special, or like that can roll additional perks, or just
additional perks, additional stats,
right,
all that stuff.
Brand new
Adept
abilities
weapons are the penultimate.
Right.
Like just change the adept weapon slightly to have the increased stats like they do normally, but then have them give a higher chance to have the extra special annoyance, like the extra grenade charge, extra melee, increased super gain, what have you. Person here.
Invader.
Yeah. I have Drifter's voice like turned off, so I just have to listen for like the tint. Where?
With the Leviathan's left, to the left. He's running over towards the steps, and he just hit. Oh, he's down. He's down.
Yeah, he got two. Yeah, he managed to get into the list, but I managed to.
Yeah, because I didn't. I couldn't
but
see
like
him.
you know, people say it's like, oh, we already have adepts. Okay, cool. Keep adepts, but just like again,
improve them.
Do you not remember how to get adepts? That's Grandmaster in raids.
Right.
Not like you know. So
Grandmaster
just
in
bring them
legend
up like
raids.
with that.
Like. So you know if we.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's
not
like
even
master
it's,
race.
yeah, it's not even just
Jesus.
raids. It's master raids. Like you have to do challenges to get adept weapons. So anointed weapons are just rare weapons, and when I mean rare, I mean like maybe 5% chance, because that's still pretty rare considering how many weapons we get to drop. Like,
Yep.
and
Like you have to think about it for it's not as many as Borderlands, but you gotta think about it from that perspective.
Right.
The reason the drop chances in Borderlands are as low as they are is because Borderlands
Rogue.
throws a fuck ton of
Right.
enemies at you and a fuck ton of loot
you
opportunities.
can pop one
That's
dude's
why those
head
chances
and,
are low.
Right, you can pop one dude's
Do
head
you
and get 3 guns.
Like Cream, do you remember how long it took them to finally increase the enemy density and strikes?
Yep.
Like, and yet they still. Oh wow, we got fucking smoked.
Yes, we did.
I was not paying attention. Look, extra guns.
It was sweaty babies.
But like, that's why Destiny grinding the feels as bad as it does, because in Borderlands 3, every enemy you kill has a chance of dropping all these extra weapons, and Borderlands throws a fuck ton of enemies at you. Destiny doesn't throw a whole lot of enemies at you, and most of your loot comes from the end of an activity.
Right.
So imagine Borderlands 3 drop rates, but like you only get guns from the last enemy you kill. Do you realize how fucking stupid that would be?
Right.
Like,
you only
like sure,
got,
increase loot at the end of the activity,
you only
but
got
like,
loot from bad
when I'm
actors.
killing shit, give me the opportunity to get that shit.
Right. Like
Which, by the more I
Borderlands.
talk about this, the more it makes me want to play Borderlands.
Well, and that's the issue
I'll-
that
I'll
we
do
run
that,
into.
like, later when I'm done with
that's
games.
the issue that we run into every time we talk about Destiny. That is why we have to take breaks, because we play more games than Destiny. Like we play more than just Destiny. So, and we play more games in the Destiny genre than just Destiny. So we can see where these other games are presenting a stronger.
Holy strong.
Right. A stronger presentation. Than the thing.
Like, just First Descendant alone.
Right.
It's not even out yet. We played the beta, and I already know for a fact
I'm gonna be
all
playing
over
it.
that game.
100%.
Like, it's... And odds are I'll be playing it probably over Destiny. Like, Division 2 has been out for a long time, and even though it's still having updates, it hasn't been updated all that much with new shit. At least not as much as Destiny has. And yet I can play through the Division, and like right now I could boot it up and I could have a fuck ton of fun, even though like I'll admit it, it's low powered Destiny, and I kind of I'm not the biggest SoulSym fan, so like I only kind of like I like the lore. I don't like the aesthetic. I just don't.
Right.
But Destiny has the aesthetic, it has the gameplay,
It
it
just-
doesn't have the substance.
Right.
That's the best way to describe it. It doesn't have substance. It's not. It's not filling. Destiny is a few cuts of nice ham and pork, but there is no rice.
Right. There's no sides.
There is
We ain't got no
no
rice. Ain't no
There's
mac
no
and cheese.
sides.
Kind of disrespectful
Nothing.
twat.
They
There's no
ain't
way.
even got stuffing. They ain't even got stuffing, bro. How you
Put that bitch in the
None of that
face.
shit.
like? Destiny is like Thanksgiving with no sides. It's just a meat fest.
So in other words, so in other words, I'm burning Destiny's house down. Gotcha.
Basically, like no
Oh,
Destiny's
real
burning its house
problem.
down.
Descendant is probably going to be Mech's house on Thanksgiving.
Right.
There's
Oh, God.
substance. There's fun shit.
Because we
And
have
I'm angry I can't go.
we have the
I haven't had oxtails in like years.
we have the
Mom and Dad are too afraid to make it.
we have the different power sets. We have the loot. We have the various guns, different styles. The means by which to customize these guns, improve them, increase their level as we grow. If we don't want to change weapons, we don't gotta. The way that we mod our characters actually changes how our abilities function, like on a greater scale than just, hey, you've got 9 options and you've got nine options and like 30 combinations of what you could possibly do. No, like literally whatever it is that you want to do, all you have to do is have the components for it and the capacity. And so I may build my character to be a range monster with my abilities. And I won't have the same level of power that Vaughn would have by basically, front loading damage on all of his abilities. But he also does not have the range that I have. So it's that trade-off where we're
I didn't have my
all
grenade. God damn it.
drastically different because of how we chose to approach the system that's available.
Invader.
Destiny only allows you to be as different as the meta says it is possible this month. Instead of just adding perks each season, adding 1 or 2 perks each season, we wipe the board and offer offer a brand new 27. We wipe the board and offer another 27 because that's just how we've decided we're going to do this. Never mind how logical it is. Never mind the fact that it changes how we're dictating to our player base how they're supposed to play the game every 3 months. That's irrelevant. No, it's an ability rotation that keeps the game fresh. No.
But instead, what they should have had, that they should be doing is the same thing that other games are doing. And that is simply, instead of changing up the meta each season with all these abilities and the seasonal thing, just add them to the game.
Right.
Like, have them be an option that we can use. And over time, just keep building up the backlog. But then again, this comes back to the sandbox. That they've literally not built their sandbox with the intention of adding a bunch of shit into it.
Right.
Instead, they've made their sandbox to basically keep the status quo. Oh, damn. Yeah, no, we're getting fucking smoked. He's coming through the portal.
He's
the other side, I mean, like he's
there's
on
no
the
pinging
right
system.
side.
He's on the
gone.
right side of it. He killed me as soon
Also,
as he
yeah,
came in.
that's a big one.
Yeah. We can't ping.
Like I know pinging. Now, granted, a little history lesson here. Pinging has been in games for a while, but the game that actually popularized it is not one everyone actually remembers because it's kind of trash now. Apex. Apex's pinging system was so good.
Apex
carried
put
itself for a
pinging on
long
the map.
time. Huh?
Yeah, Fortnite didn't start doing the ping system until after Apex did it.
Yep, and actually, Apex was also the one that did the revive system before Fortnite. But oh wow, yeah, we're done. But like, that's the thing is that when it comes to other games, it's a different type of game. Yes, it is. I think I just got an exotic. I'm in the kitchen right now. I don't know what the fuck I just got.
I got an exotic engram as well. I'm gonna go to Rahulio.
Right, I forgot. That's
and
because the
focus.
ritual. They changed that.
Yep.
They changed
To
that shit.
Rahulio for focusing.
But for like,
to Rahulio
Fortnite
for
is an
focusing,
entirely different game from Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
What's oh, I'm here. Right. I keep walking away because I walk around when I talk.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
fair.
Let me go to Orbit. Okay, so yeah, but like, Fortnite is an entirely different game from Destiny. We're not going to talk about Save the World because that's just not, it's not relevant for right now. But Fortnite is an amazing game. There's no denying that. But one reason they became an amazing game is straight up, they looked at what other games did and were like, let's do something like that. And the rest is history. Like, Fortnite comes up with their own ideas, that much is true.
Right.
But then they look at media, they look at games, sometimes books, so sometimes real-world events, and they just go, what if we just took that and made it ours? And that's what they did. Apex has a pinging and revive system. Fortnite has a pinging and revive system. Like, hey, this new thing is really popular. Parkour is becoming more and more like popular with the young crowd. Hey, let's put parkour in Fortnite. Let's do that. Hey, people are really liking that kid Leroy. His music video is kind of dope. Huh? Hey, that music video has a bunch of floating chrome like buildings. What if we had a season about that? That's basically what Fortnite does, is that they look at shit, they go, how can we twist this and turn it into something cool? Or how can we take this and put it in our own thing? It either takes a lot of money, depending if it's an IP, or just a few minutes in a boardroom and people decide on it.
Right.
But games like Destiny / like Bungie, and this is going to sound really negative, but it's kind of how I feel about it,
high on their own supply.
are still... They're so high off their own supply, and honestly, even though most of the people that work there now aren't responsible for Halo anymore, they are still writing off the fact that, oh yeah, we're the innovators, we're the ones who made Halo. At least that's how I feel. Maybe that's unfounded, but as a result of that, in my opinion, that is why the Destiny refuses to look towards other things and pull ideas from them. Granted, when it comes to their abilities, when it comes to their lore and world building, they have done it fairly well and uniquely. There's not a whole lot of Star Wars vibes, and there's not a whole lot of other sci-fi like vibes. Occasionally you get something, but because this is a sci-fi fantasy RPG, they're allowed to do some pretty wacky shit. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with pulling ideas from other sources of media. That's how some of the greatest stories ever told work. Like that's how some of the best games have worked. Like, do you really think Doom came up with all of their ideas like on their own? Like, sure, plenty of what Doom did was unique, but also plenty of the imagery that Doom used was off of the Catholic religion and their ideas of demons. Like, can you imagine how shitty some of the games we all love would be if they didn't? If they just were so far up their own ass that, like, oh, sorry. No, this is a slight, not a long tangent, but it's something that pertains to Destiny. So, there is a word that people like to use for certain people who think that they're original, and I don't know what that word is.
Kids are being
Oh yeah. Since the stream is on, they'll hear me, so I'll just continue. But so if you have, let's say, a 14-year-old, right? They're trying to make a character that they think is cool and unique. So they make a demon. He has jet black like wings. He has fire magic. He has a katana. He's edgy as all hell. He doesn't have parents. He doesn't have parents, and he wears ripped jeans. Like, I basically calling out everyone's OC from middle school right now. But keep in mind what I just said. Everyone's OC. Everyone had that idea. It's that they didn't pull that, or at least they think they didn't pull that from anywhere, but subconsciously they did. And it's something that's been going on well, I'm not sure how long humans have been along. I'm a little dumb in that regard, so I don't want to say eons, but it's been around. That concept has been around for centuries. When someone thinks that they're being original, but in reality, they naturally, like, as humans, we naturally pull from things surrounding us. But the quality of what we make is slightly determined by our admittance of whether or not we admit that we pulled from around us, which allows us to cultivate our own ideas, or if we like to act like we came up with everything on our own and it becomes a choppy mess. It's basically the difference between someone making the weird demonic katana wielding OC and then someone making Dritz. Like, I get it. Dritz is like everyone's favorite drow edgy character, but he was still cool. Everyone can still admit Dritz was awesome. He's a cool ass character, but no one likes a character that's a drow elf, that's a ranger, that has a wolf companion and two swords. Yeah, it's the same. I just described Dritz, but someone who came up with their own drow elf character. There's a big fucking difference. So when it comes to Destiny, I feel like it's the latter. It's the case of someone looking at things around them, but thinking to themselves that they're going to come up with this amazing, like, just cavalcade of a story that's not going to be told before, and it's going to be super unique, and it's going to be a 10-year project, but then, not being self-aware enough to look at other things around them and noticing things that they're subconsciously pulling from, but it's not quite the same. It'd be kind of like if you were looking at the Mona Lisa and then looking at someone's rendition of the Mona Lisa. The eye is slightly off. The hair is a different color, and she's not smiling. It's so subtle, but it's there, and that's what Destiny feels like in a lot of cases. On the surface, it looks cool and varied and awesome, and for a lot of it, it really is. The story is really fucking cool, but because of their reluctance to look at the world around them objectively and pull from the ideas of others, it starts to become shallow and hollow and without any sort of actual, like, meaning. I like the story of Destiny, but it hasn't enthralled me in years, because I just started noticing, like, trends. I started calling stupid ideas that they were doing years and years ago. The best way to put it, and this is, primarily for Destin, who's in the party, I could watch an entire season of a WWE show of the whole story from back to front, and I would be more engaged in that than 3 years of Destiny. And it's only because WWE, as far as I know, whoever the writers are, they understand who they are in their own body. They are cognizant of the world around them, and they admit that they're pulling from their experiences, pulling from the world, so they can make a good story, pulling from what is around them. Destin, can you imagine how shitty wrestling would be if they thought that they were the progenitors of everything? That if like everything that they did was original and no one else had even begun to think about this. The
Oh
stories
my
of people
god.
dying and coming back to life. The concept that people turns out like you're like oh I'm your father twice I'm your father twice removed or oh soap opera shit. Like I don't want to compare WWE in soap operas, but
But
like
it works.
but
I
no,
mean,
it's there. That it's like they
it
have a lot of similarities. But if
pro
WWE
wrestling
didn't
is
admit
literally
that,
pro wrestling is literally a soap opera where they do their own stunts. Like,
hmm and as a result of that, because I guarantee the writers for that writers for it know that shit. That's why it's good. It's because they pull from everything like that, and they actually make it's gonna sound super pretentious, but they make art, because art is pulled everything is created by the artist by pulling everything around them. So as a result, that's why people like wrestling. It's its own fun stories. There's effort put into it, and whereas there are plenty of effort and stuff into Destiny, and with its gameplay mechanics and with its a bit and its story, but when you take it too far and you start thinking that you're God's given gift to sci-fi, then what ends up happening is that a lot of your shit just becomes uninspired dribble. And at the end of the day, like, all right, cool. The gameplay itself is fun, but there's again, like I said, there's no substance. There's nothing there. I can chew on an entire season of WWE and have way more fun looking at that than in Destiny for the last 3 years. Because there's more to it. There's something there. And that was sort of my tangent. It was just without sounding like a pretentious asshole, Destiny over the last number of years, Kareem feels like a 14-year-old's demon katana wielding OC that kind of sprung into something cool, but they still think that like they're original, that like everything about them is special. And yes, plenty of things that Destiny does is original and is special, but once you start thinking like that, it stops being that way. It starts just becoming more of the same shit being repeated over and over again. Oh, the darkness is here. Oh, it turns out the dark is good. Oh, the dark is bad again. Oh, the dark is good. That shit's been happening for the last 8 years. And
so in other words, it's kind of funny. I can relate to wrestling again. The darkness is the big show because they turn him heel, then they turn him face, then they turn him heel, then they turn him face. I'm not even joking.
There you go. Because I mean, even though the last year or two of content has been we're finally using the darkness, it's still just that same old back and forth. It's we're using the darkness. Oh, dark is evil. Oh, dark is good. Oh, dark is evil. Like, even to the point now that like
You don't know how
we're
to
literally
use it, right? It's not taking over your body. What?
yeah, it's so bizarre because we have now reached the final avenue and they're still arguing about it. Because here's the thing, just little side thing, as Destiny characters, as players, as people who live in that world, we know that the darkness is not inherently evil. It's just powered by emotion. And emotion itself is super corruptible, which is why so many evil people use the darkness in Destiny. The ones who are the most dangerous are the ones who use the darkness but don't let it overtake them, i.e. the Witness. The Witness isn't consumed by the darkness, that bitch controls it, which is why he's dangerous. Everybody else we've ever fought has been consumed by it and let themselves be consumed by it. That's why it's dangerous. It relies off the individual. And yet, years later, we're still having stupid arguments about people not wanting to use dark magic. Like, don't get me wrong, Hive dark magic is still way worse than normal dark magic because you're relying off of the emotion of another. It's not purely your power. You are literally siphoning it from others. That is a dangerous art. That is dangerous magic in any fiction. But like our power, stasis, strand, no, that shit is not evil in the slightest, and yet we are still finding contention with that, and it is such a lame story at this point. Like it feels like they're not even trying in that aspect anymore. Yes, we get it. We have fought darkness for years, and it's been evil as fuck. But now we get it. Now we understand. So why are we still having this conversation?
Right.
Let's go kill the witness
we went
already,
through
for
this
fuck's
entire- We
sake.
went through the entire Warlord era of lore before we even picked up our characters. So we know that the light doesn't inherently make you good, because there was a whole era in Destiny lore where it was just guardians, or like it was defenders fighting warlords because they hadn't decided that they were guardians yet. It hadn't been universally decided that just because you were risen meant that you had to protect humanity. And even now, not everybody who is risen has chosen to be a guardian. It is a choice, but it's not a choice that we were given in game. So, even though we have the choice of our classes, and that's another thing, the lore says that our classes is just a series of life choices that we've made since becoming risen. Like, the type of activities that we usually undertake is how how society decides what class to refer to us as. Hunters are very rarely seen inside the city. Titans very rarely leave the city. And warlocks are always running experiments or trying to learn something more about their power.
Warlocks never leave the library.
So, like...
That's the real joke.
So this game was built with a story behind it and reasons.
It's almost as if we're not actually a part of it.
Right.
It's like the way our characters work is outside of the way that the game works.
Yeah.
Actually, a perfect example is to imagine if you played Warframe and you were told all the amazing things that the Tenno could do. These void warping, reality bending children with these amazing powers. But yeah, sure. Let's do strikes. It's me. Yeah, like imagine, you're playing through Warframe and you hear all these amazing things that apparently these Tenno could do. You find out you're a Tenno and you can't use any void magic. And you can't actually do any of the things that they mentioned whatsoever. But guess what? What I just said was wrong, because you can do that in Warframe.
Right.
Like, everything in Warframe that they say you could do,
you go on missions with other Tenno, and you see them do stupid stuff, and then you get a hold of that Warframe that Tenno had, and you can do that same stupid stuff. There have been times, like, we've seen several cutscenes where when we were storming Savathun's Keep last year, Ikora flew in, like, in her body.
Not floated, flew.
Like, flew in, not in her ship, flew as a person, and threw a Nova Bomb at an enemy and just wiped and cleaned off the map. Ain't no Warlock flying. Warlocks don't fly, they glide at best. And it's like 3 seconds, not sitting and lobbing energy from
like, and not being a DC superhero, basically.
Right.
And again, I hate to keep bringing it up, but like, even though they're not necessarily the same game, but it does fit. Like, again, look at fucking Warframe. It's like, in one of the more recent cutscenes, it shows our character like basically about to go toe to toe with the equivalent of a science space dragon. And like in the cutscene, it shows, oh shit, hey, the space dragon is weak like this. If you can fly up to it and use your void power like a scythe and cut this bitch in the segments, maybe we'll have an opportunity. Is that a cutscene like where we do it and then we can't actually do it? No. Well, instead, what happens is that our character can now have the power of flight, fly up to the space dragon, summon an ethereal scythe, and start hacking away at this bitch. Guess what? Yeah, that is. I didn't make that up whatsoever. That is legitimately something that you can do in Warframe now,
Like,
along with
when-
so many other things.
When we woke up Rasputin and we sent Warsats into orbit so that they could take down the Almighty, that should have been a mission where they introduced flight combat and actually programmed our ships, the cosmetic ships we've been collecting for the last 9 years, and given them actual functionality beyond loading screen, beyond loading screen flavor. And,
Like again, when you update this game, like every other game that's been made, like you add in more shit. But like I said, like earlier, like an hour ago, all Bungie has been concerned about doing is keeping the status quo,
Right.
and occasionally,
We want our-
adding shit.
we want to maintain our player engagement numbers, but we don't want to give them anything new to keep them playing. We just want to make the same stale rotation look a little different.
Like, just to give an example, again, Division 2. In this most recent season, oh well, like they do the same thing as Destiny. They just introduced a new armor set. Cool, but did you notice armor sets in Division actually are what change like your skills and your abilities and whatnot? Yeah. That what Division 2 does every season with all the new armor sets that they do is the equivalent of if Bungie added a new super every season.
Right.
Like that's effectively what it is. And guess what? None of it broke the game. It's just new flavor because that's how their sandbox was made.
And
Division 2 sandbox is made well so they can just add whatever the fuck they want and it's not going to ruin it.
And I honestly
Christ.
feel like the game would not be ruined nearly as much as the community claims it would be if Destiny just unshackled it. Like if Bungie unshackled our Guardians, like we had we had exotics that could just give us infinite supers, like just infinitely repeatable supers if we used them correctly. Just like we get our super back immediately because we're actually we're using the exotic the way that it's intended to be used. Like Ursa Furiosa, if you want to, there's no reason why Ursa Furiosa shouldn't be viable in Vault of Glass. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, oh, you don't have the somebody has the relic and another person's rocking Ursa Furiosa. So we just got 2 shields and we can do the damage phase from a different way. It's just different ways to approach the challenges. It doesn't break the game. It just makes it different.
And I was also gonna say something too. I'm enjoying playing Destiny a little bit right now, but I did actually kind of want to.
Yeah, we're gonna switch over to Fortnite probably for 10 minutes.
Oh, right, yeah, Fortnite. I was actually going to say Gotham Knights because that could also play into our Destiny conversation at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But did we want to wait until Janimba got online for Fortnite though, just so we can have a 4-man or 3-man if Destiny doesn't want to play?
We can wait for
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Fortnite tonight, Dustin?
Yeah, I am aware enough today, so.
Yeah, it's because the season changes, I believe tomorrow. So if you're not if you bought the battle pass and you're not at 100, then I think tonight is your last chance.
Yeah, tonight is your last chance.
Yeah, I'm not completing the regular battle pass, so it's...
Oh, you might have to. I'm at 76. I'm not there yet.
Fix your life, skip it. No, I'm joking.
I'm trying.
Haha! Joining allies saved me from falling to my death. Because one of the orbs knocked me off to the side.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, Vaughn, if you didn't catch the announcement during the Halloween-a-thon stream, next week, Mirak Vaughn rematch Last Man Standing. Because for some reason Mirak decided to take 4 minutes to just beat the fuck out of you.
Evidently.
It was uncomfortable at a certain point. It was like,
very
yo,
uncomfortable. Bro, just take him back into the ring. Put him in the ring.
he kept going farther up the ramp and kept beating on him. And I'm like, does he owe you money?
I'm not this mad at Vaughn. I don't understand what's happening.
It was an uninterrupted.
Because I think I bought a game for Cream, but you haven't paid me back yet.
Vaughn, you have to understand, Vaughn, it was an uninterrupted ass whooping for 4 minutes.
Like, you didn't have nothing.
Again, and then I got up and I just said, I hear no bell.
Okay. Go ahead.
That shit was crazy. I've never seen that happen before.
I just can't hear it anymore, which is why the fight kept going.
Like I've never seen that. I've never seen just an uninterrupted
AI
beating like that.
He didn't want to win. He didn't care about winning. He was just dragging you. Like, I was very upset. I was tense, bro.
It was so funny. Just watching him just keep beating on him and beating on him. I'm sitting there looking at him like, you got him, like you.
He's dead.
He did all that just to get in the ring and get thunder crashed in 20 seconds. I was like, wait, what?
Right. I was very upset.
That was the ice. That was the icing on the cake. That's just.
It's like I literally drugged you. It's 6:15. 6:20.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of like when Jin was going to be on. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. I mean, like we do have all of tonight, so it's not like an issue. But I'm just curious to see like when he will get on. Because like I do want to play some Gotham Knights before a little like Fortnite, because I'll admit I'm jonesing for that right now. Like Gotham Knights has been fun. Especially because like I was able to do it, but I did a Mr. Freeze mission and I almost died like a few different times because I kept just like no it wasn't Mr. Freeze, it was a Harley Quinn mission I was doing, and like they just kept pumping out bad guys while I was trying to work on the boss, and it was just so annoying.
Oh Lord. Nah,
You got
back
mad.
upstairs, baby.
And also, I was going to mention about this conversation too. Obviously, you use this for clips when you have more of a thing to talk about when it comes to Destiny, obviously. But I was going to mention to you that you shouldn't get too in depth with like the answers and the propositions until like you have a formula. What I'm just going to suggest to you is write a script.
Yeah.
Like, don't go off the cuff anymore, especially when you're talking about important stuff.
Yeah.
Because it will sound better and it will flow better, because also that way you record yourself, and you can also stop as soon as like you start going so that way you can cut all that crap out into takes.
Right.
Because you have good things to say, it's just like with me, even though I talk all the time and I have good practice with it, I still will do the fuck. So for the sake of me making it look clear and concise, to make sure that your B-roll is good, and I'm also going to suggest maybe get some software that will allow you to actually put like charts and images into the video as well, for like when you're talking about like, oh, here's how this system would work, and here's how my power system would work. How like build up a flow chart or something. I guess not a flow chart, but, you know, like a sheet of something, like an actual presentation, because that way you'll actually get more retention off of YouTube, and people will want to sit down and listen to you, because there are enough people, you know, eating out their own asshole on YouTube, just talking into the mic over like B-roll of them playing Destiny or Call of Duty. You gotta show them that you're different and put in the effort of editing to show them and give them visual aid.
Okay. And headshot.
And dead.
There she goes.
But yeah, once again, I love this game franchise, and I want it to be better. But even though we have 1 month left in the season, I really just don't have a reason to keep going.
Right.
The all black ordnance shader is cool. Don't get me wrong. And I will probably grind for it later. Huh?
Which one?
Oh, by doing the Haunted Lost sectors, you have a chance of getting oh god, what's it called? That thing that you put into crafted weapons, like the special ornament shader. Yeah, the haunted lost sectors have a chance of giving you like an all black nightmare shader. Yeah, like I think you can actually go look at it if you open up a crafted weapon right now. But like
Mementos.
people are fiending for it because yeah, memento. It's literally pitch black. So there's
The
a
shade
reason a
that
lot of
we've been
people
begging for
want
10
it.
years.
Yep. And it can only go on crafted weapons, and B, like it's a well, I mean, I guess it makes sense that yeah, grind for it. It's a grinding game, but that's it for Destiny for me at least.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
And,
call it there before my brain falls out of my skull.
and that'll be where we end the stream for now. We'll be back later with the regular stream at 9, about 2.5 hours. We'll be doing our Fortnite Battle Pass catch up. But for now, I have been your host, and co-hosting with me this evening was Vonhelgen.
For the love of God, even though we say all this shit, we do love this game with a fiery passion. We just want it to be better. So don't go to the comments hating us because we're talking shit about the game. I'm just saying, we love it. We just want it to be better.
Agreed. And also in the gallery we have Destin.
You don't love the game if you want shade, you piece of shit. No.
So, until later tonight, stay safe, stay blessed, have a wonderful afternoon. Catch you later.